It was a leisurely Tuesday afternoon at the Daily Grind Cafe, the kind of place where the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee permanently lingered in the air, mingling with the subtle scent of warm pastries. Inside, the gentle hum of conversation, blended with the soft clatter of mugs and saucers, marking a typical unhurried day. Chloe, a young woman with kind eyes and a smile that didn't quite reach them lately, moved with practiced grace between the tables. Her impeccably tied apron was a familiar sight to the regulars. She had been a fixture here for 5 years, long enough to know them all by name, to anticipate their orders before they even spoke. Old Mrs. Davison perched at her usual corner. Booth always needed her Earl Grey extra hot with just a whisper of milk. Chloe knew this by heart. She wasn't merely a barista. She was an integral part of the establishment, a comforting presence, an empathetic ear, the sort of person who transformed a simple cafe into a second home for its patrons. But beneath that constant, comforting smile, a deep weariness resided. Life had become an unrelenting uphill battle. Her mother, Maria, was battling a chronic illness, and the medical bills, relentless and unforgiving, stacked up like an insurmountable tower. Her younger sister, Lily, bright and ambitious, was struggling with the daunting process of university, applications burdened by the crushing weight of tuition costs. No matter how many extra shifts Chloe picked up, how many late nights she worked, the financial chasm seemed to widen rather than shrink. Still, each day she tied on her apron, secured her hair, and stepped onto the floor, a resolute smile firmly in place. Kindness, she often reminded herself in the quiet moments between orders, costs absolutely nothing. The soft chime of the cafe door alerted Chloe to a new arrival. An elderly gentleman shuffled in. His overcoat, though clean, was noticeably threadbare at the cuffs, and his shoes were scuffed and worn. He kept his gaze low, almost as if he wished to melt into the background, to remain utterly unnoticed. He moved slowly towards the counter, where Chloe was wiping down the espresso machine. She greeted him softly, her voice genuinely warm, asking, "Coffee?" The man nodded, a slight, almost imperceptible tremor in his hands. He fumbled with a worn, thin wallet, his fingers struggling to extract a few loose coins. Chloe watched, her heart sinking slightly as she realized the pitiful sum he held, nowhere near enough for even the smallest cup of the cheapest brew. From across the bustling room, the manager, Mr. Hayes, a stocky man in his 40s with a perpetually sour expression, had been observing. His eyes narrowed, fixed on the struggling figure. He muttered, low enough for Chloe to hear, but laced with venom, "If he can't pay, he can't stay. We're not running a charity here, Chloe." Chloe's cheerful demeanor faltered, her smile wavering for just a second. She glanced at the man's hopeful, yet tired eyes, then at the manager's hard, unyielding face. It was a fleeting moment of internal conflict, a battle between policy and empathy. Empathy won. Always. She reached for a clean mug, pulled the lever on the coffee machine, and poured a fresh, steaming cup. The rich aroma filled the air around them. She slid the warm mug across the counter towards the man. "It's on me," she whispered, her tone conspiratorial and gentle. "Don't you worry about it." The man's eyes, clouded with fatigue and perhaps a touch of despair, widened dramatically. A mix of profound surprise and something else, a deep, almost painful gratitude, flickered within them. He extended a trembling hand, wrapping his cold fingers around the warm ceramic. He clutched it as if it were the most precious thing he'd held all day, a lifeline in a sea of cold. He murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, "Thank you. Truly." He took a slow, careful sip, closing his eyes for a moment, savoring the warmth, the simple act of generosity. Mr. Hayes, from his vantage point, had seen the exchange. His already sour expression darkened, a vein throbbing faintly on his temple. The gentleman finished his coffee slowly, lingering for a few more moments, as if reluctant to leave the warmth and kindness. He stood, offering Chloe another deep, sincere nod of thanks, his eyes conveying more than words could. Then, he stepped back out into the cool, unforgiving air of the street. The moment the cafe door chimed behind him, Mr. Hayes stormed across the floor, his heavy footsteps echoing in the suddenly silent cafe. He stopped directly in front of Chloe, his face contorted with barely suppressed fury. His voice was low but biting, each word a hammer blow. "You cannot just give away our products, Chloe." "What do you think you're doing? That's stealing. Stealing directly from the daily grind." Chloe met his furious glare, her shoulders squaring, her voice remarkably steady despite the rapid pounding of her heart. "It was just a cup of coffee. Mr. Hayes, he needed it. You saw him. He was cold. He looked hungry." "That's not your call," he barked, the sound sharp, cutting through the quiet. "You are here to serve paying customers, not to hand out charity on my dime, or the company's." "Dime, I've had enough of your sentimental nonsense. You're fired, Chloe. Pack your things and go. Now." The cafe fell into a stunned silence, broken only by the gentle hum of the espresso machine. The cooks, usually immersed in their rhythmic chopping and sizzling, peeked out from the kitchen pass-through, their faces a mixture of shock and unspoken sympathy. A few customers, forks halfway to their mouths, sat frozen, their conversations abruptly halted, eyes wide. The pleasant atmosphere had been shattered. Chloe's heart pounded violently against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the silence. But she did not falter. Her face remained calm, her gaze unwavering as she met Mr. Hayes's furious eyes. Slowly, deliberately, she untied her apron, the familiar knot loosening. She folded it neatly and placed it on the polished counter, a quiet, defiant act. She took a deep, fortifying breath, her lungs burning. Her voice quiet but resonating with conviction, she said, "I sincerely hope, Mr. Hayes, that one day you will truly understand. Kindness, genuine kindness, is worth far more than a few extra dollars on a profit margin. It's worth everything." And with that, her head held high, her back straight, Chloe turned and walked out of the daily grind, leaving behind the stale air of hostility and the lingering scent of coffee that now felt tainted. She didn't look back. The next day dawned crisp and clear, but for Chloe, it was just another bleak morning, colder and emptier than usual. Meanwhile, an unbelievable scene unfolded outside the daily grind. A sleek, obsidian black luxury car, impossibly polished, glided to a silent stop directly in front of the cafe. The door swung open with a soft sigh, and out stepped the scruffy gentleman from the previous day. Except now, he was no longer scruffy at all. His tattered coat was gone, replaced by a perfectly tailored dark gray suit that fit him impeccably. His previously disheveled hair was neatly combed and styled, and his posture was undeniably confident, radiating an aura of quiet power and authority. Inside, Mr. Hayes, who had just arrived for his shift, stood frozen by the counter, his mouth slightly agape in utter shock. He recognized the face, but not the presentation. The man he dismissed as an indigent person was clearly anything but. The gentleman from yesterday surveyed the cafe with a keen, assessing gaze. He walked with a purposeful stride, entering the cafe. Mr. Hayes visibly swallowed, his bravado instantly evaporating. The man was David Miller, the esteemed CEO of Horizon Hospitality Group, a national conglomerate that owned the Daily Grind and hundreds of other establishments across the country. He had arrived unannounced, anonymously, to personally observe how his staff treated people. Not just the paying clientele, but every single individual who crossed their threshold. And Chloe, in her simple act of generosity, had passed his unspoken test in the most profound and exemplary way imaginable. Later, back in Chloe's small apartment, she sat on her worn sofa, staring blankly at the stack of medical bills on her coffee table. Her apron, which she'd brought home, lay discarded on the floor, a painful reminder of her sudden joblessness. Tears welled in her eyes, hot and stinging, but she blinked them back. There was no time for self-pity. Her mother, Maria, depended on her. Her younger sister, Lily, depended on her. The weight of their needs pressed down on her, suffocating. She scrolled through job listings on her old phone, each one seemingly requiring experience she didn't have, or offering wages that wouldn't even cover a fraction of their expenses. Despair threatened to consume her. A sudden, insistent knock on her apartment door jolted her. She frowned, wondering who it could be. She rarely has visitors. Cautiously, she opened the door a crack. Standing there was David Miller, no longer in his elegant suit, but in smart, casual attire, accompanied by Brenda, his executive assistant, a woman in a business suit. Chloe looked at them, confused and wary, asking if she could help them. David Miller offered a gentle, knowing smile. He introduced himself, reminding her they had met briefly yesterday at the Daily Grind. Chloe's eyes widened in recognition, then narrowed slightly in suspicion. How had he found her? David Miller continued, sensing her unease. He explained that he knew this was sudden and apologized for the intrusion, but insisted that speaking with her was incredibly important. He then revealed his true identity, explained his undercover mission, and shared how deeply her act of kindness had affected him. He informed her about Mr. Hayes's immediate termination that very morning. Earnestly, David Miller told her, "You didn't just serve a cup of coffee yesterday, Chloe. You served humanity. You demonstrated the core values that my company, Horizon Hospitality Group, strives to embody. Values that, frankly, some of our managers have tragically lost sight of." Chloe was completely overwhelmed. Tears, this time of profound relief and disbelief, streamed down her face. She could barely speak, whispering, "Thank you. I don't know what to say." David Miller gently shook his head. "No, Chloe. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me what real service, real compassion, truly looks like. It's easy to get lost in numbers and profits, but people like you bring back the heart of the business." He paused, then offered her more than just a position back at the Daily Grind. He stated, "Chloe, I am offering you the position of assistant manager at the Daily Grind, effective immediately. You'll receive a substantial raise, and I want you to be instrumental in rebuilding the culture there." Chloe was stunned, tears flowing freely now. An assistant manager? It was more than she could have ever dreamed of. David Miller continued, his voice softening even further. "But that's not all. My company will cover your mother's outstanding medical bills in full. And for your sister, Lily, we will establish a scholarship fund to ensure she can pursue her university education without financial burden. Consider it a testament to the profound impact of your compassion." Chloe's knees felt weak. It was too much kindness, too much hope. She sank onto her sofa, covering her face with her hands, sobbing openly now. Brenda, David's assistant, kindly handed her a tissue. Through her sobs, barely audible, Chloe managed to say, I don't deserve all this." David Miller sat beside her, a comforting presence. "You deserve every bit of it, Chloe, and more. You are the kind of leader, the kind of person I want representing my company." Weeks turned into months. The story of Chloe's profound kindness and David Miller's swift, compassionate response spread like wildfire through the local community, and then, astonishingly, across social media platforms. The Daily Grind, once a struggling cafe, transcended its role as a mere place to grab a coffee. It transformed into a powerful symbol of kindness, empathy, and genuine human connection. People flocked to the Elmwood branch, not just for the coffee, but for the renewed, palpable warmth and positive energy that now resonated within its walls. The cafe now operated with a full, well-rested staff. Chloe, in her new role as assistant manager, thrived. She worked tirelessly, but her energy was different now, fueled by a deep sense of purpose and appreciation. She personally trained new staff members, emphasizing empathy and genuine customer connection in every interaction. Sam, one of the cooks who had silently sympathized with Chloe during Mr. Hayes's tenure, was now a valuable team leader in the kitchen, his quiet defiance replaced by a confident efficiency that inspired those around him. The entire atmosphere was vibrant, profoundly positive. The clatter of silverware sounded cheerful, and the conversations among patrons were lively and filled with genuine laughter. One busy afternoon, Chloe was bustling behind the counter, diligently helping a new barista with an order. David Miller, now a regular and welcome presence at the Elmwood branch, watched her from a corner booth. He was no longer in disguise, but he often came to observe, to feel the pulse of the revitalized cafe he had helped save. He caught Chloe's eye across the room, and she responded with a genuine, radiant smile that finally, truly reached her eyes. Later, as the cafe began to wind down for the evening, Chloe approached David's booth. She asked him warmly if he would like another of his perfect lattes. David Miller smiled, a gentle twinkle in his eye. He confirmed his order, adding, "Perfect as always, Chloe, just like this place." He gestured around the bustling, happy cafe. "It's truly remarkable what you've done here. The transformation is profound." Chloe offered a modest shrug. "It's the team, Mr. Miller. Everyone feels valued now. They know their hard work and kindness matter, and thank you for giving us that chance. For giving me that chance. Maria's doing so much better, and Lily just got her university acceptance letter. It's all thanks to you." David Miller reached across the table, taking her hand gently. "No, Chloe," he corrected, his voice full of warmth. "It's all thanks to your simple act of kindness. That single cup of coffee didn't just change your life. It inspired us all. It reminded me of the very soul of what we do. Sometimes the smallest gestures have the biggest, most enduring impact. And kindness, it always finds its way back, multiplying in ways we can barely imagine. It's the true currency of humanity." He sipped his coffee, a contented look on his face, watching the happy customers and the vibrant, engaged staff around him. Chloe smiled, a deep, peaceful contentment settling over her. The weariness she once carried was gone, replaced by a radiant sense of purpose and gratitude.